Good morning. I say morning, I'm cooking supper, but it is morning time because we're going to do a little crock pot today. We're going to make a Mississippi pot roast. Now, I've never made one of these. I always make my roast the way my mama always made them. But everybody keeps talking about these Mississippi pot roast recipes, and so I want to try it. And so if you haven't tried it either, if it turns out great, I'll let you know. But let's get started. Now, I am going to vary from the recipe a little bit. It does not call for seasoning on the steak, but I'm going to put some salt and pepper. Some recipes do call for that. Some do not. And I'll actually post, I'm actually mixing two recipes, but for the Mississippi pot roast. But I'm going to just post one of them. And you can get the gist of it from what I'm going to tell you in this video. Now, all videos don't call for this, but roasts are much better when they are browned before putting them in the pot roast. And it also helps with when you're making the gravy at the end. So I'm going to get this thing floured up good, and we're going to sear it in a cast iron skillet. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can sear it in anything. You can sear it in your Instapot if you want to. You can actually cook this in your Instapot. Most recipes, you get instructions for oven, crock pot, and Instapot. Today's a crock pot day because Jay and I are going to be working out in the shop with our new X tool. So, we're going to do the crock pot thing. So, we just had breakfast. So, if you see bacon or biscuits or anything laying around on the stove while we're frying this, that's why. But we'll be right back with you. Okay, we're going to get a little bit of olive oil in the skillet, and that's what this recipe called for, but I'm sure you could use canola oil or avocado oil or whatever, but we're using olive oil. And we're going to put the burner on high. You're going to have to decide what to put your burner on. Every stove is different. I've got an older stove from the 70s. We haven't gotten to the kitchen renovation yet, and that's going to be our last thing that we do. But, yeah, so decide what you need it on. You don't want to burn it, but you're actually just kind of browning the sides. So it's not like it's going to stay in there forever. And you want a good crisp outside layer. So as soon as this olive oil heats up, then we're going to sear it. Okay, if you can see, it's starting to warm up, and it's almost ready. Now it's starting to smoke, so when it starts to smoke, that's when I say it's ready. So we're going to take this pot roast and we're going to brown it on all sides, and you can see it sizzling. And we'll get that done, and I'll show you what it looks like before we put it in the crock pot. Okay, here's side one. We got brown. Now we're brown inside too. We're gonna also turn it up on the sides and get the edges. And I had to break out the big grilling tongs to get this bad boy turned over. I can't find my fork. I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, we'll get that done. We'll get it in the crock pot, and we'll proceed from there. Okay, so we've got the browned roast in the crock pot. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on high. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our ranch seasoning mix, and we're going to sprinkle that over the top of the roast, the whole packet. And then we're going to take a packet of au jus gravy, and we're going to sprinkle it over the whole roast. Okay, the whole packet. Get it all out. Sometimes it likes to stick in the corners. Okay. Then what we're going to do is it calls for, now this is where some of the recipes differ. Some of them call for sliced pepperoncinis. Some of them call for whole pepperoncinis, which is what I'm using. Some of them call for 6, some of them call for a whole jar, some of them call for half a jar. My recipe that I initially found called for 5 to 6. But me and my husband both like pepperoncinis, so I'm probably gonna put a few more. I'm probably gonna go with the half jar thing. And then one recipe I found said to add a little bit of the juice. Another recipe I found said don't add any liquid of any kind, that the roast will make its own with its fat, and it does. But I'm going for flavor, and it's not going to hurt to put a little bit. And we'll save the other half of the jar. I'm just going to put a little bit of that, and we'll save the other half of the jar. If we like this, then we'll have a half a jar we can make another one with. Now, I don't know about other parts of the country, but in the South, pot roast is a popular Sunday meal. I did add salt and pepper to the meat. I'm going to add a little bit of kosher salt afterwards. Like I said, I like the flavor. You don't want to get it too salty because you do have the pack mixes in there. Okay, and you also add butter. Now it calls for a stick of butter. All I had was the 2-pound block of real butter, and you just kind of, if you're using a stick, you can just kind of slice it up. But for this, I just made some chunks, and this is also going to help make some. I'm probably putting a little bit of extra, but we like butter too. But so you can use the big big pound of whatever, or you can use regular sticks of butter. I don't normally cook with margarine, hardly ever, only on a few things. So I always like the real butter. It's better for you too. Okay, so we're gonna put the lid on it and we're gonna let it cook for about 5 hours. I did use a chuck roast. You can use rump roast as a second choice, and then they said the bottom rounds are your third choice, but a chuck roast is the best to do this with, and so that's what I got. There's one ingredient left, and that's cornstarch, but we don't use that until after the roast is done. We take the roast out and make a gravy in the crock pot, and then we put the roast back in. Okay, and I probably will add some potatoes, at least, maybe some carrots too, but at least some potatoes towards the end. I don't want them soggy and falling apart, but I don't want them al dente either. I want them done. So we'll add those in. But that's not part of this recipe, but I did see it in other recipes, and when I make roast, I usually do use that. So we're just gonna let that cook, and we'll be back later. I want to say that I feel just a little bit odd. Never made a roast without onions or garlic before. So I'm feeling a little, but we'll see how it turns out. I mean, like, even my best friend said she just made it and it was great. So we'll see how that turns out. And when we come back, we'll be taking the roast out of the crock pot and we'll be making the gravy. A little bit of an awkward time. Okay. I was so hungry I almost forgot to show y'all, but here is the pot roast. It looks really good, yummy. It falls apart. The carrots, the pepperoncinos, the potatoes, they all look good. And of course, biscuits left over from this morning's breakfast. It's a good pot roast. Okay, the pot roast was really yummy. I said that, but I wanted to just reiterate that. We will be making it again. It was delicious. The gravy, even though I forgot to film it, was very easy to make, and it thickened up right away, and it was just really good. So If you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed and you'd like to keep up with what I'm doing, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button and come along with me. I'm going to be making quite a few videos. I know I've made several lately, but I'm going to be making more because I'm about to graduate and I won't have to worry about schoolwork anymore. So,
and we're going to start working with our laser engraver too.
Yeah, well, that too, but a little Mod Podge of everything. So, join me next time. Talk to you later.